Hey guys, thank you all for coming to the second iteration of Amplitude's Growth Clinic, Retain or Die. Incredibly impressed with the turnout and super happy to have you guys here. Just to give you a little bit of background, I co-founded Amplitude about 3.5 years ago because we saw what the best teams in growth at Facebook, at Uber, at Airbnb were doing, and we said we need to make this available as a product. So let me take a little bit of time to talk about why retention. Why are we talking about retention today? Well, there's this myth that the most successful companies are built by having massively high growth. That if you have massively high growth, you'll be really successful, and if you don't, you're not. If you actually look at the data, and you actually look at what is the difference between the massively successful companies and everyone else, it's that they have much better retention. And that applies across a lot of different industries. If you look at the App Store, the top apps have much higher retention than everyone else. If you look at B2B SaaS, the best products and the best companies have much better renewal rates than everyone else. And even say take Groupon and consumer internet. Groupon was one of the fastest growing companies, consumer internet companies of all time. But you look at that outcome and you compare that to something like Facebook, which was much slower growth, but had much, much better retention numbers, and it's like orders of magnitude difference. And so that's really why we're here today, to talk about that. There's a ton of content out there about how do you get distribution, how do you get top of funnel, how do you get users to convert from one stage to another, and that's all good. Growth is good, but that's not what differentiates the most successful businesses from the least successful ones. It's all about, can you retain your users? And when we first started Amplitude, we realized there wasn't much out there about that, and so that's what we wanted to change. We wanted it to focus people on the most important metric for their business, retention. And that's why we're here today, and that's why we exist as a company, and that's why I started Amplitude. Just to give you a framework to think about it, the framework that we use at Amplitude to help companies think about their retention, we think of it as a 3-step process. So step 1, first it's most important to define your retention metric. I think, for example, if you're in gaming, you really care about daily retention. You're looking at your users, and if they don't come back the next day, they're unlikely to ever come back. And so it's important to understand, okay, what's my day 1, day 2, day 3, and so on. But if you're, say, a e-commerce app, or you're an on-demand app, delivery app, then daily retention doesn't make sense for you. You want to look at things at a cadence that your most successful users have, so looking at it in a weekly form or a monthly form. So that's step 1, pick the right retention metric. Step 2, get everyone in your organization to understand and agree on what that metric is. So it shouldn't be, I can't tell you how many times we walk into a company and we look at, okay, who actually has access to the data, and it's only the analytics team or only the data science team. It's important to have everyone across the company to understand that metric and to agree upon it. So not just analytics and data science, but also product, also marketing, the executive team, all the way to your office manager should know, hey, this is our retention metric and this is what we're trying to improve as a business. Then step 3, you want to look at, so I told you about what the difference between the most successful companies and the least successful ones are. You want to look at the same for your user base. What are the most successful customers? What do they have in common? And what differentiates them from the least successful ones? Is it their behaviors? Is it where they're coming from? Is it what they're doing in the application? One of our customers, QuizUp, they looked at this exact same thing, and one of the things they found was one of the biggest predictors of whether you'd be a successful user was whether you challenged one of your friends to a trivia game within the first week of use. And that was massively insightful for them. If you were a user who challenged one of your friends to a trivia game, you were 60% more likely to retain than everyone else. And as a result, they ended up making a lot of product changes to encourage their users to use the social features within their application. And so in the same way, for your own application, you want to form hypotheses around what are the differences between my best users and everyone else. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy today's Retain or Die Clinic. I hope more of us will be retaining than dying. But I'll leave it to the experts from Square, Instacart, HubSpot, Invoice to Go, and many others to share their stories. Thank you.